What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Prisoners of the Ghostland. So Prisoners of the Ghostland is a film that stars Nicolas Cage, Bill Moseley, Sofia Boutella, and is directed by Sion Sono, who's the director I'm not familiar with. And the reason I'm reviewing this is actually because I had never even heard of this movie, but I was sent a screener by some individuals who work over at Shudder to check this movie out before it hits Shudder exclusively. So yeah, starting later this week on Friday, this movie will be available on Shudder exclusively. So depending on when you're seeing this, this may or may not already be on Shudder. So yeah, I ended up seeing this poster with Nicolas Cage on it. I see that there's some other familiar faces in the movie, and yeah, it looked like it was going to be right up the alley of some really strange Nicolas Cage films. I figured it was going to just kind of be bonkers and over the top, and yeah, I was definitely curious in checking it out. So like I said, this film is already available to rent and purchase, but will be going later this week over to Shudder for an exclusive run over there. And what I can say about this movie right out of the gate is that all the stuff that I told you I was hoping for going into this, as far as this movie just being big, over the top, bonkers, just crazy, yeah, this movie 110% delivered on that element of the film. Without a doubt, this is another really big, just weird Nicolas Cage movie where you just have this bizarre concept and a very over-the-top performance from not only him, but everybody in the film. This movie takes place in a fictional world called Samurai Town. There's also the Ghostlands, which is a separate area. But yeah, we first are introduced to Nicolas Cage's character in this place called Samurai Town that's kind of a blend of Japanese culture with an American Wild Wild West feel. And if you're thinking that sounds very strange, yeah, I know. The concept of this film in and of itself is super unique and super strange. You literally do have cowboys walking right next to a geisha or a samurai. It's definitely an interesting world. And let's get into the premise, which is that Nicolas Cage's character has been arrested because he is a bank robber, and he's put into this suit that has bombs on his arms, his neck, and his testicles. Yes, for some reason they really wanted to hone in on the testicles. And essentially he's been told by Bill Moseley's character, who's the governor of Samurai Town, that, hey, you need to go get my granddaughter, or my girl, essentially. So he has multiple girls that kind of like, you know, are oppressed under him, and so one of them is played by Sofia Boutella. I believe that's how you pronounce her name, Boutella. So Nicolas Cage is sent to go find Sofia Boutella, and because she's the one who's kind of like on the run, and he ends up finding her in the Ghostlands. And yeah, that's the basic premise. You have this guy sent out with a bunch of bombs strapped to him to go and save this girl. If he doesn't bring her back in a certain amount of time, the bombs will go off. If he tries to hurt her, the bombs will go off. And that's the basic premise we have. If you told me that premise on paper and you have, you know, Nicolas Cage in the leading role, I would think this movie's just going to be bonkers, over the top, silly, and a good fun time. And when it started, I was all in. I was loving how ridiculous the movie was from beginning to end. The lines of dialogue, the overacting, the costume design, the set design. It was just so bright, vibrant, different. The lighting, everything about the way that the film looked, I thought was really cool. I think that they also just put a lot of money into a lot of actual practical sets and locations. You know, there's a couple different sets that are reused over the course of the film, but they are really good. They kind of port you into that world. You do feel like you're in a different, you know, world, a different universe, this fictionalized world. There's not a whole lot of CG used in terms of the actual locations that they're filming in, or if there was, it was definitely well hidden. But yeah, overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the way the film looked and felt throughout the course of the movie. However, it was the story about midway that just lost me. The movie really never went anywhere, and you know, you do kind of have resolution on that initial premise, but ultimately I just never really cared about how we got there. It never really felt like there was a really great sense of stakes. There are some really cool action sequences in here that were shot really well. Like I said, cinematography and the look, the feel, the lighting, the costume design, the set design, all that was top notch. And the best way I can really describe this movie for me is that it had all the right ingredients for the perfect meal, but I think the recipe called for a little bit less of certain things and a little bit more of other things. And the movie just ultimately felt a little bit mishmashed as we kind of got going into the story. And by the time we got to the end, I just didn't really feel like we ever really developed the characters. Like, they didn't really use the runtime to the fullest of their ability to tell a really great story. They just kind of relied on the movie, I feel, being bonkers, being ridiculous, not making sense at times, and just being so kind of what the fuck that you kind of are just entertained by that. And that did keep me engaged. That did keep me interested just to see where it was going to go. But, you know, now that I've seen the movie, I really can't say there's much about it that really calls for me to rewatch it. So that's going to be my thoughts on Prisoners of the Ghostland. I don't have a whole lot to say on it. You know, Nicolas Cage, Sofia Boutella, Bill Moseley, I think they're all good in the film, and the other actors and actresses in the film, I think, do a good job. I just don't think any of the characters were really given a whole lot in terms of narrative to really flesh out these characters and have a really solid story on top of this really weird location and this whole world that they created for this movie. I think the blend of like this Japanese and Western society kind of like, you know, blend I thought was really great. I really enjoyed that whole element, and I just don't really think they went full throttle with it as they could have in the narrative department. But I really enjoyed all the production value of the film, and that's probably where I'll leave my main positives. So that's going to be my thoughts on the movie. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Have you guys checked this out already, or do you have Shudder, or maybe you're thinking about checking it out on there, or maybe you checked it out on Shudder and you're checking this out way after the fact. So please, any and all of those, please leave comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about this movie. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. It really helps the channel out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye-bye.